Hey, 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 we are live finally. Sorry, folks. We were having technical difficulties. And to tell you the truth, we were set up on time. Then apparently, Maria said she couldn't hear me. And this actually happened once before when I was doing a podcast. I believe it was Jack Bucknell. And I was like, what? What's going on? So I had to call Mike to fix the problem because the way our setup is, it's more difficult than regular StreamYard, Maria. He set it up that it's supposed to only talk to his computer, like his laptop.
Oh, wow. Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
So, but then he said, because I'm like, why don't we just use the regular desktop rather than it's connected to your laptop? Then I knew a few months ago that this thing will happen. And then he said, don't worry, just hook up your laptop. It shouldn't be a problem. And I was like, okay, I'll take your word for it. But so far, every time I've done a podcast since we set it up this way, it's always been like something.
Oh no.
So,
Oh
so when you
no.
told me you couldn't hear me, I knew it wasn't you. It was me.
Well, I thought I couldn't. Yes, I thought it was something with my. Yeah. Anyway,
No,
it's
I
all good
know it
now.
wasn't. That's why I
Yeah.
was like, wait a minute, this kind of like deja vu. I'm like, I think Mike something to do with our setup. So I'm like trying to convince him to go back to our old setup rather than doing it this
Uh-huh.
way. You know what I
Uh-huh.
mean? But anyways,
Yes.
let's shake it off. Let's shake it off because I need to be like concentrating
Yeah.
to what we're going to do today. So folks,
Yes.
Dear Mary is here. Yay. Um, may I remind you, I just do this once a month due to that. Oh, Andy's here. Hi, Andy.
Hi, Andy.
Yep, yep. I'm so thankful that you are joining us here today. But anyways, may I remind you going back that I'm only doing this once a month due to that I'm also doing my own podcast and then
Mm-hmm.
trying to deal with family, kids, I have two teenagers that are going to college back to back. Avon is
Wow.
going this year, Triana's going next year. And not only that, I have to help them because dad is busy. So guess what? Mom has to do all the work and it's not fun.
Mm-hmm.
So I invited Maria today. Due to that, I figured I'm going to go ahead and answer the Dear Mary question from someone. I don't want to share with you guys who it is just because, I think we all want a little bit of privacy. So I'm going to call this
Mm-hmm.
person um, conflicted, okay? Because I would describe this person that it's like he's kind of conflicted as to what he's supposed to do, or maybe this is something that's like on his head, and he just couldn't figure out the right answer, or maybe he's got a right answer but he wasn't sure whether it's an actually a good answer, right? So one of the questions that was asked was, this is by the way the second episode, and my first question, I'm going to read it to you folks. It said, is it wrong to tell a person what you think, or should you hold it until you burst? And I was like, when I saw that, and it was like a person that I'm really, really, have gotten to know lately, asked me that question. I was like, you know what? I would love to answer these questions because because I know the answer. Not only that, I'm in the situation where I'm like, I was like, okay, should I tell this person or should I not? And I was like, I chose something, and I will reveal that later on, guys. Okay, so I invited Maria just because I figured, you know what? I would like to, put a twist to this episode. Instead of just listening to what I have to say, let's also see what other people would say. And there's always a difference of opinion, right? And that is good when you have difference of opinion. You know why? Because we want to take all the opinions that's out there, so that way we can like maybe put it all in one basket and say, you know what? everyone's right, I'll just take a little bit of this from Mary and I'll take a little bit of this from Maria and make it my own. And that's actually how I do things too sometimes. I don't just take one advice from one person. I also seek another advice from another one or another friend who might have a better advice than the first one that I receive, right? And I'll make it my own. So, to answer the question, okay, let's see here. I also wrote a note, folks, because I would like to cover all my bases. I don't want to forget things. So that way, if somebody says, "Hey, she answered the question, but she really didn't answer it," or she answered it in a way that I wasn't expecting the answer, right? It's not complete. So I made a note. So that way
Good.
I won't
Yeah.
forget anything.
I have notes too, Mary. If I don't write things down, I might forget. So,
Okay, good, good, good. So my notes is okay, hold on. Let me just set it up here. Actually, Maria, before you know what? That's not nice of me. Before we continue, I actually forgot to ask you, how was your vacation?
oh,
How-
it was wonderful. It
y-
was absolutely wonderful. And you've
y-
been on vacation too.
Yes, yes. I like to
Yes,
go to Hawaii because we relax. We need that once in
yes,
a while, as well
yes,
as it's good for the kids when you like go on
yes.
family vacation, right?
I love family vacations. Yes, you just bond as a whole family, and it's so good for you. And you experience different cultures, and it's so good. So, yes,
Uh-huh.
I love it.
Yes, yes. So, okay. I was like I enjoyed your pictures and some videos, I was like, wow, that would be on my bucket list, by the way. I
Oh,
have friends and families that have gone in the past
hmm
and they
hmm
always spoke highly of it, so I was like, oh my gosh, my things to do or places to go. Yes.
hmm it's incredible. I highly recommend it. Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, cool, cool. Okay. So, okay. The way I would answer these questions that I would like to actually address two things, because the questions, it's kind of like, I mean, it is a question, but it's not very specific towards a specific situation. It was
hmm
kind of vague, right? It's like kind of like
Yes,
general,
very big.
right? Because
hmm
if you think about it, is it wrong to tell a person? We don't really know what that person is referring to. So
hmm
for me, the way I will answer these questions, I'm going to actually relate it to something like a situation or something like relatable in regards to, let's say, a family, and then also the like our workplace, right? Because we all
hmm
been there and done that, where we want
hmm
to say something to maybe our coworkers, but we couldn't because we don't know how to approach that person, or even like our family members. You know what I mean?
hmm
So I've been in the situation where I actually been to, in both situation where um, a coworker, you know, doing something. Should I actually say something? Yes. Now here's the thing. I'm gonna start with, let's see here, the workplace. Okay. For me, it is not wrong to tell someone whether you have an issue or a problem with your coworker or even your friend, right? And the only reason is because um, for you to tell that person what is going through you, I think it's either gonna make your relationship with that person better or it's gonna make it worse. So I'm always been a firm believer of effective communication. I think
hmm
all this miscommunication is, coming from someone who doesn't know how to communicate. So if I am going to approach someone and tell that person what's bothering me, I would actually strategize because I don't want to offend the person or say something
hmm
that's very demeaning or mean to that person, because the minute, you say something that um, actually is, the person's like receiving it, let's say, like in a mean way or like, very demeaning, then they will react and they're not even going to listen to you anymore. So there goes your
Mm-hmm.
effective communication. So the way
Mm-hmm.
I would approach it would be like I would strategize and I will pick and choose very carefully what I'm going to say, like my words. You know what I mean? And I have, oh no, Maria, what happened to you? Oh, there you go.
My husband was calling me, so I tried to turn it off. Sorry.
Oh, okay.
Sorry, John. Another time.
Uh, uh, oh my
Sorry,
gosh.
Mary. I'm so sorry.
so so normally you it's better for you to talk to the person. You can't, like what Andy said, can't hold that stuff in. Yes, resentment will get worse. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, and also for us women too, we always want to communicate, right? Versus men. Men would be like, oh, I'll come back to it when my head's cool off. But for women, there are women out there. I'm not saying everyone. Some women out there, they just want to talk about it right now, there and there, right? But for me, the way I would approach it, and this is an advice for the unanimous person that I call conflicted. You know, you the best advice is to actually approach the person, but you need to strategize how you're going to deliver it, right? You need to pick and choose your words wisely. And the good thing about it too, when you talk to the person what's bothering you, then who knows, maybe something might blossom out of that. It's like the trust
Mm-hmm.
factors here, right? The trust factors. If I were to approach you, I'm giving an example here. If I were to approach Maria and say, "Hey, Maria, I really didn't, like how you talked to me in front of in front of the people, and you kind of embarrassed me, da 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 da." But then after we work it out, if you happen to be like mature and understand where I'm coming from, it will just straighten our relationship as friends, wouldn't you think, Maria?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I
Yeah,
would. I mean, once you both know what's on your heart, then you feel comfortable speaking in front of one another. There's
exactly,
that
exactly.
comfort and closeness. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I think it will also clear out some misunderstandings or
Mm-hmm.
maybe
Yeah.
some stuff that the other person doesn't know. So if that other person doesn't know that these are the stuff that bothers you or that you don't appreciate, then maybe that person wouldn't do it anymore in the future, right?
Yeah. I think the key, Mary, is that, you go to that person. Some
Mhm.
people will tell others around them, did you notice what they said? You know, they spread it to other people instead
Well,
of just going to the person.
yeah,
And so I
okay,
think
so
that's the key, is going, yeah,
yes. Well,
yeah.
that's what I'm trying to say. Go straight to the
Mm-hmm.
person, talk to that
Mm-hmm.
person one on one. Who knows?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe what? Go out to lunch with a person, go out to dinner with the
Mm-hmm.
person, talk to the person, and then start with your um, inviting sentence. Nothing like attacking right away. Because if you
Mm-hmm.
attack, like that's why I'm saying choose your words wisely, as well
Mm-hmm.
as you want to make sure that you are, approaching this in a way where your tone of voice is low. It's not like you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
you're like
Yeah.
smiling at me. It's
Yeah.
it's not confrontational, as well
Yeah.
as how you start the sentence. You know what I mean? The first
Mm-hmm.
sentence matters the most because it's what's gonna, set the tone for the rest of your conversation with this person. So,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, have you ever experienced when somebody, approach you and then right away they're like in the attack mode? I mean, what do?
Mm-hmm.
You go in the defense mode, right? The next thing you do, you go in
Mm-hmm.
attack mode too. So you don't
Yeah.
want that to happen. So
Mm-hmm.
so for me, it's always like I'm always aware, or be always aware of what you want to say. And even when you're speaking, like for me, I'm speaking now, but I'm always thinking to what's my next word that I'm choosing. I mean, you want to de-escalate the situation rather than
Mm-hmm.
make it worse, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
Yes.
now, how do you apply this in the workplace? Well, here's the thing. I was actually I don't know how I'm going to say this. I was told, let's say, let's say the hail industry, okay? Hail industry, health technicians. I didn't know this, but I guess when you're doing hail and working for someone, and then there are other hail technicians, sometimes, and it's not just the hail technicians or the hail industry. I mean, I'm pretty sure it happens in other businesses where they cherry pick the work. You know what I mean? Or what they're supposed to do, right? You
Mm-hmm.
Even in my household that happens. You know what I tell my kids? I said, no, 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 no. Everyone is going to be doing the same hard work. No one
Mm-hmm.
is going to pick the easiest work, because if you do that, guess what happened? We're going to have bickering and fighting, and you don't want to do that, especially in the workplace. Now here's the thing. If you have a coworker that's actually doing that, the question is, do you want to approach that person and kind of let the person know, hey, I've been noticing you're doing this? Well, I think approaching the person might not help. I think in this case, maybe approaching whoever's leading, right? Whoever's
Mm-hmm.
the manager or management, or
Mm-hmm.
the owner of that business, that's supposed to be delegating work to everyone, because whoever is the boss supposed to lead, and lead as a leader, not lead
Mm-hmm.
as just following. That's the difference between someone who's a leader and someone who's a leader in a leader role, but not really leading. You know what I mean? Because a leader would
Mm-hmm.
know already right away, okay, I want to disperse the responsibility evenly, or give work to everyone fairly, rather than having them just like pick it and nook it out. Right?
Mm-hmm.
That's how I would approach it. I would go to the higher up first, have a heart to heart talk with the person, and then who knows, maybe that person, the boss, would approach things
Mm-hmm.
differently. Now, here's the
Mm-hmm.
thing. I'm going to go an extra mile. If I'm that person, let's say I have 10 people working under me, and they're all hail technicians, right? And somebody approach me and say, hey, Mary, I noticed so and so not being fair here. That person grabbed the key and, for this car, because it's an easy thing to do, da 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 da. And that bothers me. Well, guess what? You know what I would do? Rather than, I'm going to do like a step process here. I'm like elaborating, folks. So that way there's no miscommunication here. So rather than me making an announcement that, hey, I want so and so not doing this, or me approaching that, I want you not do this, I would actually start first with my first step to start changing the work, right? The work assignment. So if let's say in the past people are just picking and choosing what cars they're going to work on, well, I'm going to change it up. Hey, if I'm the leader and I'm the boss, I can do what I need to do to make it fair for everyone, so not everyone are fighting working for me, right? So what I'm going to do is change the assignment. I'm going to say, look, I'm going to assign you guys to be doing this now, and we wanted to make it fair for everyone, because we all work here. We're all brothers and sisters here.
Mm-hmm.
We need to work as a team. Teamwork makes the dream work. And
Mm-hmm.
as an owner and a leader of this company, it just helps my organization to be highly organized and to make sure everyone's working, you know, in a harmonious, I can't pronounce it, in harmony, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, I want everyone to be working in harmony, so that
Mm-hmm.
way they would l- last longer working for me, as well as I don't want to hear, because when you're trying to run a company, the last thing you need to hear is like problems. Don't you
Mm-hmm.
think,
Yeah.
Maria? I
Yes.
mean, I don't want to hear your issue with that. I mean, with someone, or someone's issue with, it's like petty. It's really petty. I have bigger things to worry about when I'm running a business. And that could be like insurance, paying people, making sure the money's here on time, making sure the business is running smoothly, making sure the customers are all taken care of. those are bigger stuff that I need to worry about. I don't need to worry about, I shouldn't be worrying about
Mm-hmm.
my people bickering with each other over minute
Mm-hmm.
stuff. So
Mm-hmm.
I would do the assignment, change it up. And then if that doesn't work, then guess what? That's when I'm going to resort to talking to the person, going straight to the person, pulling that person in the office. So it's a one-on-one, and talking to the person like you will talk to your friend. So now that's a work, like, that's like a scenario in the workplace. Now, what happens if it's a family? Okay. Well, for me, I know what you mean, Maria, that sometimes a person tells it to another person, and then that person tell it to another person. By the time it gets back to you, who's supposed to be the person that they're talking about, it becomes like something's lost in translation. It becomes a
Mm-hmm.
rumor. You don't want that to happen ever. And I don't
Mm-hmm.
get into like rumors either, because it's very, very toxic,
Mm-hmm.
and
Yeah.
and that's why I go straight to the source. And if the source is the problem, then I will pull that person to the side, to a side, and talk to that person one on one, or heart to heart, or to my office if it's like something, or someone at work. Now, if it's a family, then it gets tricky. You know why? Because in the family, they don't want to be looked upon like the bad guy, right? Especially if you get to see them again during the holidays. But here's the thing with me, I am a firm believer of, hey, if you want our relationship to become stronger and better, then we need to be able to solve this problem or have some kind of resolution, and act maturely. Now, I guess it's another thing if the other person you're dealing with is not mature. You know what I mean? But for
Mm-hmm.
me, I usually hold people accountable in my family. Here's the thing, my immediate family, like my kids and Mike and myself, I hold myself to the highest standard because I have to be a good role model for my children.
Mm-hmm.
Therefore, if I'm going to preach to them, or give them advice about something, I make sure I practice it. And it's the same way with Mike. Yes, we're the mother and father, and we're I mean, in some family, they look at it like, hey, you make the rule because you're the mom and dad. I make the rule, but I also empower my kids because I want my kids to reach their full potential. Therefore, I
Mm-hmm.
empower them by showing that we are good role models for them, and that,
Mm-hmm.
you know, monkey see, monkey
Yeah.
do, right?
Yeah. You show them how it's done, right? Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So my
Mm-hmm.
immediate family, I hold us accountable. I call them out. Now the extended family, I kind of apply the same rule, Maria. And I'm gonna actually, after I'm done, I'm gonna actually have you talk. I'm gonna give the platform to you. So
Okay.
just take notes. You know what I mean? So
Yes.
with my extended family, I do the same thing. Like with my mom, I think I one time, when I was growing up, she was like always telling me, Mary, you're going to get in trouble if you don't tell me the truth, and I can tell right away if you're not telling the truth. So I, most of the time, 99.9%, I got in trouble, but not that I lied all the time, but sometimes there's some miscommunication. My mom thinks or thought that I was lying, then I got what, I guess, whether it's punishment or something, I got it. So now that I'm older, I'm holding the same accountability to my mom. So one time she kind of like, told me something, and I called her out on it. She didn't like it because she probably feels like, oh, I'm older. And in the Filipino
Mm-hmm.
culture, you can't call me out like that. But then I told my
Mm-hmm.
mom, well, you told me when I was little, I can't do this and this and that. But then now you're doing it. So I'm just holding you accountable, because if this is what you told me all these years and this is how I think now, you can't undo that.
Mm-hmm.
So I want you to practice what you preach, mom. So I'm holding you accountable. And that's what ended up happening. I mean, same thing
Mm-hmm.
with extended family. I've done that before. Now, whether they're going to like me or hate me for saying something, you know what? That's their problem. Because if I'm going to call you out for something that you did wrong, you shouldn't be mad at me. You know what I mean? You shouldn't be mad at the person. That's the way I look at it.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you and I, Maria, we're friends. I don't know. We've known each other for many years now. So if you,
Mm-hmm.
let's say, if I did something to you and you don't like it, and then you told me, and then I realized that, hey, she's got a point, a valid point. Okay. Valid point. I'm emphasizing on that. Then I'll be like,
Mm-hmm.
you know what, Mary, shame on you for doing it. Make a change. Make a change for the better. And I will do it. You know
Mm-hmm.
what I mean? Because as human being, as we get older, we should be getting better as we
Yes.
age, right?
Mm-hmm.
As we
Right.
age, we shouldn't be growing backward. Because if you're growing backward, then you're not,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, you're not growing, you're not productive.
Yeah,
So,
and if you're always comfortable, you're not growing. I mean, you're just staying the same. So
yeah,
you
yeah.
will have times where it's not fun and you're getting, you know,
Hmm.
told what you should do better. So just kind of learn to expect that, I guess.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
as human being, we really like, as we get older, we really like be a good role model for the younger generation, because
Mm-hmm.
I've seen good stuff with some older folks than me, and I took the good stuff and make it my own. Obviously,
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to take the bad stuff. Who wants to do that, right? Make it my
Right.
own. So now the younger generation, obviously they're growing up in a different environment. We need to be the good role model for them. So I
Mm-hmm.
think we should just like always, I wouldn't, somebody might say, Mary, you're a nerd. You know what? Fine, I'm a nerd. For me, it's like, I think we should always do what's good out there, right? Because if you put out good
Mm-hmm.
stuff, it will come back to you. I'm a firm believer of karma. It will come back to you in a positive way too. So you know what? Enough of me talking. It's your turn, Maria. So
All
what's your
right.
opinion about the question?
Well, I did think it was rather vague, and so I I thought, well, what I'll do is I'll bring this person some different types of sources to draw from, and then maybe
Hmm.
they can make their own decision. But one thing that I learned that I loved when I was a teenager, we had something in our community called the Rotary Club. Are you familiar with that? And they would
Rotary
have
Club?
the, they would have the Rotary Student of the Month. And I was selected, and they had this nice little celebration, and they were wonderful. And they gave us this plaque that had 4 questions to ask ourselves. And it's part of the Rotarian creed, if you will. And so I'm going to read those questions because I think it's important. It's for professionals.
Uh-huh.
It's like ethical professional standards. And the first question is it the truth? So maybe you find out something about your coworker, your family member, or someone, and or you see them and it's like, is that really true? Like, are they really cherry picking? Or did they cherry pick one day?
Hmm.
Is it really the truth?
Hmm.
The next question is it fair to all concerned? You know, is it fair if you tell the boss without telling them first? Maybe you can just, say something without them getting in trouble with the boss. But maybe you do need to tell the boss because
Hmm.
you don't want the regret of now they know what I think,
Hmm.
So, you know, you've kind of got to think, is it fair to them or not? Is it fair to all concerned? The third one is, will it build goodwill and better friendships? So maybe your coworker is someone you would like, but they do this one thing. You know,
Hmm.
is there some way to keep the friendship, keep the goodwill among all the coworkers? You want everything to go smoothly, everybody's having a good time together,
Hmm.
you know, just kind of think of that. And then you to all concerned. And so it could be that, you talk to them and they blow up and get mad, and then they start telling everybody things that you're doing. You know,
Hmm.
is that going to help everybody if there's this big, just drama,
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
so sometimes you've got to kind of take the time and analyze all of those things. Like you were saying, you've got to kind of figure out what you're going to do in the situation. Maybe it
Mm-hmm.
depends on, a lot of factors.
Mm-hmm.
Um, one of the things I also came across, I like to read a lot of books. I love books, personal development books. And there was one in this book right here, and it talks about business, but it's a little different. And it's like, there's my business, there's your business, and there's God's business.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's kind of like our family member. If somebody's bothering us, but it's just annoying, I mean, that's their business. It's, my business is let it go.
Yeah.
I only can control my business. I
Yes.
can't control their business. So, you know, just, but some things, like if they're doing something like the cherry picking, let's say, if that's the example, I don't know, you know, that's their business. Okay. Is that my business if they're cherry picking? It may make me angry, may frustrate me, but is that my business? You know, you've got to kind of make that call because pretty soon everybody's going to notice their business. That's how they run their business. They cherry pick. And pretty soon it's just going to be known. It's like, your actions tell on you, what kind of person you are. And everyone's going to find out they cherry pick. And so it may be that you don't have to say anything because it becomes very clear and evident what kind of person they are. And it's like, just,
Hold on. I'm gonna like put a twist on this, okay? What
go ahead.
happened?
Yes.
Okay, so what happened if that person that's cherry picking's work continue to do it because nobody wants to speak up?
Ah, that's a
What do you
good
do
one.
then?
Well, Mary, I'm a praying girl. So then there's God's business. I think, you were talking about karma. I think it's going to come back on them. I really do. I feel like, you know, so they're always getting the best stuff. Well, not, that's going to turn around someday. And maybe it's karma. Maybe it's because I'm praying that things will get worked out in time. I don't know. It's tough. I don't know. I mean, it's just another perspective to try. So I'm putting
So
that out there.
okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay,
So
so
I'm
basically you're saying that hey, eventually people will notice that someone is
mm-hmm,
cherry picking work, right?
mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
Okay. Well, what happens if nobody like I said, nobody wants to speak up because if they
mm-hmm.
speak up, then, or if they
Yeah, I
say
get what
something
you're
to the
saying.
person, then it might be
Yeah,
like a conflict already. So that's
yeah. Well, I'll
why,
tell you what Maria would do. Okay, this is Maria.
okay.
If I started noticing that, and yeah, it's like I feel like it's not fair to all concerned. It's not right. Somebody does need to step up. And that's where I'm probably like you. I would just go to the boss because they've got to know they're doing this on purpose.
Yes.
It's not something,
You
they're
can't
doing
hide
this
it.
because they're being a jerk.
Yeah.
And I would maybe just go to the boss maybe and say, you know, I can't help but notice it seems like, and I would just let him know and say, you deal with it how I'm just leaving this in your hands, but I think you should know this. And I'm really hoping you, as the boss, you're going to do the right thing. So it's kind of like you're sharing with the boss, but you're also kind of holding them accountable that you really
He needs to be a
expect
leader.
them.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. You expect them to do something.
Yeah.
And, you know,
And
again,
another thing that
yeah.
I want to add to that is that those bosses, okay, the person in charge, when somebody approach you about something like this, it should be all confidential because the last thing you
Oh,
want to
yeah.
happen is that you end up leaking out that hey, there was a complaint, that then the next thing you know, your people that's working for you are like bickering at each other or fighting with each other because
Mm-hmm.
somebody says, hey, why did you, like little kids, right? Little kids would be like, why did you tattle? It's really not tattling when something needs to be fixed, because the goal
Mm-hmm.
here is that you need to like change your perception. The goal here is that when you're in the workplace and you're trying to, you know get stuff done, get the goals done according to what was the assignment. You need to do, as people, as employees, need to do everything in your power to make sure that the goal gets done. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Or the job gets done towards the goals, right? That was assigned. So for me, it's like I don't look at it as like, oh, okay, somebody told me so and so has a problem with this stuff, because there are also upper management out there that doesn't notice anything, until it's like right on their face. But by that time,
Mm-hmm.
it's too late. And here's the thing too. We talked about, hey, do you want to hold it in until it's too late? Until you burst. You don't want to do that, because
Mm-hmm.
if you do that, guess what happens? Then you're gonna look like sometimes I like pause because I'm trying to pick my words, whether I should say that words or not. You don't want to look like an idiot, when you just have an outburst of acting
Mm-hmm.
out
Yeah.
because you just got fed up. You don't want to get yourself to that point. So, as much as possible, it's better to deal with the problem while it's small before it becomes bigger. And I don't know. I mean, I'm pretty sure you've noticed this, Maria, and any listeners out there. If you guys if you guys think that the problem will resolve itself, it never does, and it will never happen. When there's a problem, you need to like fix it right away or put some attention to it before it becomes a big problem and it's harder to fix or harder to control,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because you don't want to like look like the bad guy because you did an outburst, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Right. There's nothing worse than regret, I don't think. You
yeah,
know,
yeah. Or
thinking
either
you
that
should have
say stuff.
handled something differently. Yeah.
Yeah, or either that. What happens if you end up saying stuff that you can't take back? I
Mm-hmm.
mean, sometimes even husband and wife when they fight, sometimes things are said and you can't take it back. So
Mm-hmm.
that's why it's always better to, like, when there's an argument like that, is to walk away. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
I've been there, done that, where you know my intention was to communicate with the person and it got out of hand, and I didn't expect it to get out of hand, but it did, because the person that I'm talking to just didn't see it the way
Mm-hmm.
how it is happening. It's like she's seeing it from her perspective,
Mm-hmm.
and with that she's very emotional, because put her emotion into that, she can't see it as is,
Mm-hmm.
so she wouldn't see it
Yeah.
from my, I don't know, from my perspective. So at that point I was just like, you know what, there's no point continuing with the conversation. We need to end this before it gets out of hand.
Yeah.
And yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
that's, you should be able to tell when the conversation is getting out of hand. Then you need to like exit and then just say, let's revisit later.
Uh-huh. Yeah. Yeah, I think a lot of things would go better if we could do that. It's just we get so entangled in the emotional moment of it all because we have two different perspectives
Hmm.
coming together and it's really difficult. But if you can remain calm, people usually try to match you. So, if it's getting loud and you're getting louder, but if you can stay calm, it slows it down, just slow it down. And
Hmm.
I think that usually helps, I think.
Hmm.
So, yeah.
Yeah, I think conversation or even like a disagreement, you always have to be really conscious. I mean, when somebody said, "What do you mean conscious?" I am awake. I'm conscious. I know what I'm saying. No, not really. Sometimes we just say things without thinking, and
Mm-hmm.
then that's when things go. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Unplanned, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
Right.
that's when things go haywire and go bananas. I mean, I've been in those conversations before, or, I mean, supposed to be a conversation, it turned to a disagreement or an argument. But then by that time, you're like saying like stuff that you don't want to say. And then, when it gets out of hand, what do you do? Well, at that point, I think I have gotten to, just for my own experience, I have gotten to even just texting.
Oh, really? I hate to text.
The only reason
And
is
then,
because
yeah,
when you're like vocally having the
yes.
conversation,
Mm-hmm.
and the other person is very emotional, and you're like trying to just rebuttal what the other person is saying, next thing you know, both of you are talking at the same time, no one's listening to anyone anymore, then you're hanging up,
Wow.
then text.
Oh my goodness. Yes, I can see where that I don't have these kind of conversations, Mary. I mean, who are these people you talk to? I'm just teasing, but yeah, yes. I mean, if you've already talked and there's been the blow up, then yes, I think texting is probably good.
Yes.
But just in general, it's like texting. I mean, I've been in group chats where someone says something, but they're on their way so they're not really thinking when they're texting. They're just putting their answer out there, and then someone gets offended. And it's like, well, you don't know what was going on in their mind. They were just putting it out there. You don't know the tone of voice, and it's
Well,
awkward. It can be awkward on those group texts is what I'm talking about. But yeah, if you've already hashed it out and they're not getting your point and you wanted to say something, yeah, I think, yeah,
well, you got
absolutely.
to use whatever source you have
Yeah,
to be
yeah,
able to communicate. So
yeah,
even if it means through text, but even with texting, I guess there's an art into it, like you have to
yeah.
make sure that when you're texting, that you're thinking what you're saying first, so that way you don't offend that person. But here's the thing too, Maria, there's a difference between, now we went from one thing to another, there's a difference between like saying what you need to say, and you don't think, and it's not offensive, and then there's a difference between people are just using that, or they're very sensitive, that they take everything as an
Mm-hmm,
offense, right? Have you
mm-hmm,
ever met
mm-hmm.
those people before? Because
Yes,
I
yeah.
have. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So you know what I say to them? I say, you know what? I am here to help you with
Yeah,
your insecurity.
right. I
I mean, you need to have self confidence. I mean, if every little thing is gonna offend you, then you're not the problem. They are. You know what I
mm-hmm,
mean? They're the
mm-hmm.
problem. So, okay, somebody said here, hi, pretty ladies, Facebook user, who are you? We want to see your face. We don't know who you are. So, anyways, yeah, I mean, I've met those people where every little thing that you say will offend them. But here's the thing,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I just, I go into this mode that I want to help this person. I want this person to, oh, it's Mo. Hi, Mo.
Oh.
It's Mo. I want to help this person, to become stronger, to realize that, hey, don't take things to the heart all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, you will never have any friends in this world, because they wouldn't be able to say what's on their mind.
Yeah. Yeah, I can see what you're talking about, Mary. Right there, you'd be a great person for them. You'd be like a leader to them in just helping them navigate working relationships and so forth. So, yeah, if you can do it in a loving way, like you're really just wanting to help them, then absolutely go for it. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I've,
Yeah.
I've seen, I've seen those people before, and I approach them in a way where they'll understand, so that way they won't get offended. But it
Mm-hmm.
would just be like, I don't know. I think I should say, I don't know if when in college, I don't know if they still do this, okay? When I went for my business, one of the stuff that I have to take, one of the subject is communication. And
Mm-hmm.
the reason I think is that because it's a big part of business. You're communicating with your peers, you're communicating with your clients, you're
Mm-hmm.
communicating with your vendors, you're communicating with everyone. Every day you're dealing with people, so you should be able to know how to communicate effectively to them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it
Yeah.
is important. I mean, in everything, like your marriage, your family, your relationships, your your business, it is important. Yeah, big. Yeah, it's a big deal. Hmm.
Yep. Yeah. Well,
Wow.
even I mean, think if you think about it, okay, salespeople. Why are the good salesman? Why
Hmm.
is he good in sales? Because he knows how to communicate to his
Hmm.
clients
Hmm.
or customers, right?
Yes, yes. It's funny. We're all different, but one of the things that makes me a little unique maybe is that I really like the picky person. I feel like if I can win the picky person, then I have really done something. And I've had different jobs, whether it's, when I was a teacher, if there were parents that were very picky about what their kids, you know, if I could help them feel comfortable and like I was in control, they're in charge and they felt satisfied, then I felt so good. And then I went to beauty school, I would do hair. If I had some real picky person that wanted everything if I could just win them over, that was the biggest thing for me. And I'm still like that, even in sales or whatever. It's like if there's a customer and they're very, they're professional, they want things just right, if I can provide them something that they can use and add use to
Mhm.
their work, then I'm like, yes, that's meaningful. Excuse me, that's meaningful to me. And
Yeah.
so, that's just kind of, but everybody's got their own, what motivates you,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah. So
But
it's a challenge. You like the challenge,
yeah,
Maria.
I like the challenge of it. I
Hmm.
mean, I'm not asking for challenges, but I'm just saying when you do, when you do come across that, it's very rewarding. And so, yeah, if you had a worker and everybody's like, this guy, this person, they're
Yeah.
always doing this. And, you know, I I think there would be a part of me that would try to take them aside and be like, you know, I there's something I want to talk to you about, and but make it where it's a win for them,
Yeah.
If you can win them and they become a better professional, then
Hmm.
everybody else is going to be lifted up by that.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I didn't know that you like a challenge. Like if you were to like, oh, okay, like a customer. See, that's the
Yeah.
thing with customers, when you try to the way I look at it, it's a win-win, right? You're helping them
Mhm.
because they need
Mhm.
something, and then me on the
Mhm.
other hand, I'm trying to sell something, whether it's a service
Mhm.
or product, right?
Yeah.
So if yeah, like what you said, if there's a picky one and there's a challenge, to you it's a challenge, and if you win that person, then it's like a rewarding feeling that you get
Yes.
from
It's
doing
a
something that,
high. I'm like, yes. And it's like my focus gets very clear. I'm like,
then
okay, how
that
can I?
motivates you to do another, to do
Yeah,
more. Is that what it is?
yeah. I guess I just really like it. I mean, it's not to say I don't appreciate everything,
Uh-huh.
but like some people will come and ask me, "What do you think about this?" And I really just like helping people. I really
Uh-huh.
do. But if someone is like all put off and nothing ever goes right with this or that, and they want something that's, and I've got an idea or I've got something, and they're like, that's just what I needed,
Hmm.
then I'm like, yes, yes, this is good.
Yeah.
So I like
That's
it. Yeah.
That's good. Well, that reminds me of I think it was last week. We were somewhere, and then because when you were, when you mentioned that, it just kind of like brought me back to my experience last week where I was like in the store, and then the guy salesperson already gave me a discount, but then I'm like, you know what, let me see, I put it in a joke way, let me see if he's gonna give me a discount for this one too. And then so I purchased something, he gave me a discount, and then I'm like, oh, okay, is that discount applied to this second item I'm buying? To make
Uh-huh.
it more fun. And then
Yes.
he's like, no, 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 it's only for this one. And I said, are you sure? And then I go ask another thing about their product again. And then I said, do I get the discount on this one? So I made it like fun. And he was like smiling at the end of the day, It's like, oh,
Yes.
okay. So I made somebody smile. So can you
Yes.
imagine just like being in the store all day and just waiting for the shift to end,
Yeah.
So I like to like make it light and fun. You know what I mean?
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. And you are that way, Mary. That's what I love about you. You are fun. You're the fun.
Hey, life is short.
I
You know what I
know
mean?
it
I have,
is.
yeah, live it to the fullest. So,
Yeah, that's
yeah.
good.
Yeah. So you know what, Maria, we are like almost an hour into this. We said we're only going to do 30 minutes. Guess what? It's 50 minutes
Oh,
and it's like went by really fast,
yes,
right?
that is fast. Yes.
So, okay. So to end this, what's the last what do you want to share, to
Oh,
our viewers like
that's a good question.
that's a
What
good
do
question.
you want to
Sorry, I
share?
caught
Maybe
you
you,
off guard.
I know, right? I know.
The last
Let me
word.
see. Girl, I
Yeah.
was not prepared for that. I'm looking
Sorry.
through my notes thinking, what do I want to say? Um, yeah, I'm going to use this. There's this a quote from one of the books I read. It
Okay.
says, experience is not the best teacher. Other people's experience is the best teacher. And I like that because it's like you can learn a lot just by watching others, you know, and you can see, oh, that went over well, or oh, that did not. And, you can learn. So, always keep your eye open looking for ways to learn from others, especially those that are doing very well.
Mm-hmm.
What do successful people do? What do people do that are very well liked and respected? And just, you know, notice that and add that to your own professionalism. And so it doesn't always have to be your personal experience. The best is where you don't have to make the mistakes at all. You can see someone else's mistakes and you can decide not to make those mistakes and learn from them.
Okay. Guess who's joining us? Bonnie.
Oh, hey,
Hi,
Bonnie.
Bonnie.
Oh, she's the lady with the clean teeth. I saw on Facebook today her daughter fixed her teeth there, gave
I'm
her a
so
nice
jealous
shine. So,
because, dentists are so expensive now. Dental
oh,
works. Oh my gosh.
yes, it
And then,
is.
and
Yes,
then she's got like a dentist in the family. She doesn't have to pay
yeah,
for any teeth cleaning or anything like that.
she's a lucky woman right there.
Yeah. Okay. Food for thought. My last words. Okay. If my listeners are not sure of what they need to do, you can always do a pros and cons. Okay, what's the pros and cons? Hold on, there's one more. Mo Castillo. Oh, hi, Mo.
Oh, thank you, Mo.
uh,
So
so,
nice.
so my last advice is that do a pros and cons. So, what would be the pros and then the cons of approaching someone and talking to that person? you know you can like do some kind of a scenario in your head. For me, it's always in my head. I'm always thinking, okay, if I go this way, what would happen? It
Mm-hmm.
could either go this way or that way. So
Mm-hmm.
that's my last advice. But at the end of the day, listen, you want to just fix the problem and you don't want to make it worse. So by talking to someone, yes, it's okay to talk to someone. Just make sure that your delivery is on point. And so that way
Mm-hmm.
the other person doesn't get offended. You know what I mean? And that way, you know what? People will probably have a better opinion about you, or like, gain set of new respect, that you were
Mm-hmm.
able to do this with them, right? It's like
Mm-hmm.
integrity. I think integrity means everything. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, at least for me, it is,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. You
right?
can hold one another accountable for, how you're working. So, you've got to expect that they may do the same for you. So, yeah, but
Yeah,
it's important.
yeah,
Yeah, lift one another up. Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, folks, I am leaving and we're saying goodbye. But before we do that, I already have my next question for next episode of Dear Mary, and that would be a month from now. Okay. So, I wonder who would be the next guest. It will be a surprise. Let's see. Okay. Let me read you guys the next question. Here's another question for Dear Mary. How about tips on how to not allow the small things in life bother you?
Mm,
Mm.
that's a
I
good
will come
one.
up with something for you guys, something special. And I will be bringing another guest, a new one, and, to accompany me for an hour of episode of Dear Mary. So we'll see. Stay tuned, folks. And I appreciate you, Maria.
Oh, I appreciate you. Thanks for inviting me.
No problem. You will be coming back in the future. Don't worry. Every
Awesome.
month, stay tuned for Dear Mary. And we're saying goodbye. How about you?
Bye.